right, everyone. We'll get going here in a minute. Nothing like a little Staying Alive played on the slap bass. So I might pick that up. That was my attempt at a music intro there this morning or afternoon. Sorry. I don't know where you're at. Let's see who we got joining. All right. Hey, got our global input coming in. I really like this. I know some of you guys, these are a little, less than perfect timing for you because of time zones and such, but we appreciate you guys joining and definitely please contribute. I think that's one of the really, really great things about our community is we have such a diverse set of MSPs. From really small shops to some really, really big shops. And so we like getting that input from you guys. So looks like we're coming in just the last few seconds here. We'll let those last few people join. All right, we'll go ahead and kick it off. Good news, does sound like my voice is, for the most part, all the way back. Bad news is I tend to talk longer, so we'll try to do better than I did last week. To kick things off, there is only one talking head on the screen right now, and we are missing Adam. So quick story, he was doing the family vacation. They were down at the beach, and they all went to get on the plane this weekend, or was preparing for their flight back, and one of his kids didn't pass the COVID test, so they couldn't get on the plane. So wife and the rest of the family came back. Adam stayed, to help out until they could get their kid back. So you're gonna laugh and say, "Oh wow, really, really bad." He was, stuck at the beach, which was my first thought. But they actually confined them to their room there. So nice view, at least, but I don't know. He was in there for a few days, and I don't know, that long in one little space might tend to wear on me. But good news is they're all clear and on a flight back right now. He should be in the air. So hopefully we'll see him back again pretty soon. I want to follow up on just a couple of things. The first, I'm going, because it ties in, fortunately, I guess, if not indirectly, with our topic for today. But some of you probably got a late email today from me or from Adam regarding our NAN, which is not another newsletter, which is really a newsletter. And I forgot. I just I messed up. I'm gonna try to blame it on the holiday that we had here in the U.S. on Monday. But realistically, I work from home. I have for many, many years. I was here at the desk Monday morning. I could have sent out that newsletter, and I just forgot. I screwed up. But I wanted to highlight that in the fact that that's an important element of our membership community. It is a piece in our strategic plan in engaging with you guys. And if it's important, then we need to stick to it. And so Adam and I were on a call this morning and we realized, shoot, Skip messed that one up. So rather than just shrugging it off and go, oh, well, next time, I jumped out there and put together one right quick and sent it on out. Now, the good news is, because this is an important part of our plan, it's an important part of our strategy, a lot of that work had already been done. Before Adam, even a week before he left on vacation, he'd gone out there and got all his stuff in order. He tends to be, I think, the creative, his creative side comes out, and he gets these bursts of ideas and energies, and he really goes in there and feels out all the details that support the long-term, the year-long plan that we have going. So he got that done. When I had to jump in there today and fill in and take the last minute worth of work, it really wasn't a lot. I was able to catch up quickly. And so when we get to the end of the year, we're going to be able to look back and see that we had some consistency. Things might not have always turned out. Those should show up at noon, your time zone, every week. And in this case, it didn't. And, that's one of the things we'll look to improve. Does Skip need a, 1 meter by 1 meter sticky note on his monitor every Monday? Maybe so. I don't know. We'll work that out. Or do we just say, hey, nobody's perfect, and we continue to plan, but we continue to work that? So I really just kind of wanted to use this one little weird, sort of case in point to encourage you guys to make a plan, to work your plan, and then we'll come along and we'll review that plan and see what needs to be changed and adjusted. Life tends to be brutal sometimes. So it's okay. We'll manage that as well as we can. But I want to reemphasize, if it's important, if your team gets down and you have buy-in. So I'm going a little deeper than I anticipated here on this, but when Adam first talked to me about this NAN that we were going to do every week, that's kind of not my thing. And I was a little hesitant on that. And he's obviously the visionary. So, he was pushing that out there and putting together the components that would all go in. And it took him a little while to get me bought in on that process. But at the end of the day, we understood what we were trying to do, and I was bought into this process. So it's an important element as you put together your client engagement plans that you make sure your stakeholders are bought into the process, so that when life comes up, just like it did this week for us, you have the commitment from your team to make that successful. If they're not bought in, it's going to be way too easy for somebody to just shrug it off and go on. So he won me over. I was bought in. We made sure that happened to at least some extent, so that we continue this consistent engagement that's part of our strategic plan. All right. With that, a couple of things. One real quick catch up from last week. Yes, I guess last week was a hard week too. It was the last week of May, which is the second month in Q2, not the end of the quarter. I misspoke there. So we are still in Q2 services this week, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, mostly centered around this great opportunity that we have with our clients to pause here and say, what's been going well and what hasn't been going well? And then to capitalize on that, what can we do in the future? So it's an easy 3-point conversation. And this is a good time to do it because, kind of like I talked on last week, we've done our Q1 assessments, our Q2, we should be wrapping those up. Those marry up very, very closely. Architecture and services are a bit of a maturity step, and they relate very closely. So we're at a really good spot with our clients, if not to go into a deep strategic dive, at least sit down and make sure that we're having a really good discussion about what went well, what didn't go well, and what can you guys do in the future. And there is an important element to that. So we are problem solvers as IT people. Okay. I was talking to someone else on a totally unrelated deal on a video call the other day, and I mentioned that I was in IT, and they're like, "Oh, you must be a problem solver." I went, yeah, I guess so. And that seems to be a trait common to many of us. So I think we let ourselves fall into this problem solving mentality too many times. And that surfaces and that materializes in our client engagements. We sit down with the client and it becomes, oh, hey, this user's accounts doesn't work. The wireless in the lobby quit again last week. That printer failed, all the things that we need to fix. And I guess just kind of generally speaking, those all become things that aren't going well or didn't go well. And it can turn our conversations into a bit of a negative stance. And sometimes all of a sudden we feel like we're defending ourselves. We're having to support and justify the work and the time that we've put in already, even though things might not be well where they're at. And that is one of the reasons that can lead to limited engagement of like what I was talking about earlier, buy-in, limited engagement times from our team to our clients is we don't really want to schedule that call because we think we're just going to take a whooping in that meeting, so to speak. There's my Texas coming out. So make sure that you start off on the positive, because you all do great things with your clients. And too many times they forget it. They just totally gloss over it. So use the platform. The executive section works. Maybe there's just an agenda item that you want to put in there. This is a great opportunity to go in and modify your agenda slightly and actually put these 3 bullet points in there. What went well? And if you've listed them out there, the client's going to see that the next bullet point is what isn't going well. All right. So they know they're going to get their opportunity to bring their laundry list out or vent about whatever it is. But start out with, hey, what went well, and document that so that you have the opportunity to remind your clients quarter over quarter, month over month, whatever your cycle is, about things that did go well. And when you come back for that contract renewal, it's time to raise the price. There's something out of scope. These financial conversations where we need to increase price or bill additionally, they get a little bit easier if we're looking at things from a positive perspective versus always being on the defense. So ask them what went well, and then move into what didn't go well. Document that. Now, don't go into the weeds. I mean, we don't need to diagnose and fix those issues right now. We just need to identify them. Make sure the client is aware on that, but then try to turn that around again with the third point in what can we do going forward? Are they continually having problems with wireless in the lobby? All right. If that's an issue that's always coming up, let's fix it. Maybe it's something they're doing. They've got someone that keeps going in there and unplugging a piece of equipment, or maybe they won't sign off on the project that you already have out there on the roadmap that says, hey, we need to upgrade that hardware. And it's a great opportunity for you to close the loop on that and identify, hey, we've got a problem. Wireless keeps failing. All right, we've identified that. We'll address it again. But then third point, what can we do in the future? And this is a very collaborative section here. You can offer solutions about, hey, we can fix that wireless in the lobby if you guys will sign off on this project. So that will help a little bit. Again, use the project roadmap to kind of track some of those. We can put some details in there, but sometimes it just needs to be a content widget where we're putting some notes in, tracking that information, and having those ongoing conversations with your clients. What went well, what didn't go well, and what can we do going forwards? Now, for all the maybe junior account managers, and I keep lumping you guys in there, and I feel that that's my route as well. All right, and so I'm all come by all the gray naturally. So junior, doesn't quite apply to me, but in my skill set in account management, sometimes I feel like I'm in that category, right? So I'm always looking for the tools that will help maybe strengthen the weak areas in my personality or just my professionalism. And by building these into our reports, we're going to provide the tools that your team needs to do these things. I was talking with someone just this morning, and I got an opportunity to go on my little spiel about how we need to flip the dynamic. We've been educating our clients for far too long. We need to understand more about their business, do this top-down sort of approach. That's all great. We're kind of at the end of the school year. For me, it sounded like some, little snippet out of a commencement conversation to a group of graduates or something. It was really kind of silly, I thought. But, this is all great, fluffy stuff. For me, I always step back and go, okay, that sounds great, Skip. The very words coming out of my mouth, but how are we going to do that? What are the tools that we're going to give to our team that will enable that to happen? I think it's a lot simpler than we make it sometimes. A lot of times it's just a framework. We have a lot of great people working in our organizations, a lot of very talented professionals. We just need to give them a few guiding points, a few supporting elements in the tools that allow them to have that conversation. So that helps them, but also from you that are more on the executive team here, that allows you to provide this standardized approach that you want to do engaging with your clients, so that you know you're hitting on these important elements throughout your teams. Now, a little bit more detail in there, that second bullet point, what isn't going well? You have a great opportunity. If you make this an initiative with your team and you do this, generally speaking, across the board with all your clients sometime in Q2, then, and they're doing their job right, they're following your instructions and they're documenting this information in there, you have the opportunity, maybe it's next month, maybe it's later this year, you have the opportunity to come back and look at this data across all your clients. Is there something consistently happening across all your clients that isn't going well? And again, us being problem solvers, it's not going to take us too long to start coming up with solutions. And when we can come up with a solution that fixes multiple problems, well, now we're driving some nice money down to our bottom line. Now we're increasing our efficiencies and the margins are going to begin to improve. So, but if you just ask your team, if you just gather your team in a big staff meeting and say, hey, I know you guys have been out talking with your clients, what are some things that are not going well? You're going to get some top of mind things. You're going to get some random things. Is it going to be what you really need to develop a plan going forward? Probably not, right? So let's again provide the tools to our team to have these conversations. Let's also set the expectations that we're going to capture this information. It's great conversations. It doesn't have to be a long narrative. Nobody needs to write a 5-page business analysis on this. Many times, you've heard me say this before, we just need bullet points, all right? With just some data points so that we can begin collecting this information and really providing ourselves with the foundation we need to come up with standardized solutions on that going forward. All right. This topic today was, I thought, pretty quick and to the point. And without Adam and I going back and forth, we may be wrapping up. Let me check his agenda. Again, he had a great set of things set up here going forward. We've talked about our kind of our 3 questions. And then there's a variety of opportunities out there. So these are the 3 questions that Adam likes to ask. Many of you may have heard about my 2 Qs. You know, what's your number 1 source of revenue? What's the number 1 risk to that revenue? That's a much more business focused approach rather than a client engagement, account management sort of approach. But again, a variety of tools that are going in here. We want to make sure that these are in place so that we increase perceived value through our services and our solutions and the delivery of those. So make sure we get these. And yes, to make sure, there's a few people that joined just a few minutes ago. I did get it wrong last week. We are still in Q2, but we do need to be thinking about Q3. What's that going to look like? We're moving into risk. We want to start diving into that risk pillar. If you haven't opened and started really working with the NIST overview, now's the time to do it. And if back in January, where we're telling everybody, set expectations with your clients about risk coming up in Q3, but you don't have to actually do it in January. You just need to set expectations. Well, the expectations are coming due. So you want to be diving into that assessment, make sure that you understand what's in there. Is there some changes that we need to make to this template? How are we going to use this? There's options that can be a giant report, very exhaustive sometimes, maybe, well, more than likely, very time consuming. So maybe there's some ways we pare it down. We've got a couple of ideas on that. We'll probably dive into them and give you some hands-on examples in our Q3 conversations, but your team needs to be looking at that. So that NIST works great for North America. I know our Canadian guys, that's not the perfect fit. We are going to address that, but for North America, the NIST does seem to work pretty well. For your Australian guys, the Cyber Essentials 8 is out there. Take a look at that. Is there changes you need to make to it? That report was, again, a little different, and it had 3 levels in there. And so we had to adapt to meet that. So make sure you understand what that flow is. And for our UK members, we are in progress. I actually was working at it late last night, working on the UK Cyber Essentials and getting it in there. I think we've got an angle on it. I want to leave an asterisk out there. The dependency statements that they're making in there, you know, in section A.4, if you answered A.2.x this way, then you have to do something different. That is going to provide a little bump for us in the reporting format, but we're working on some ways that we can overcome that. Looking for input. I think we only have one or two of the UK guys. Maybe you guys might pick this up on the YouTube channel after this, but send those comments or ideas in. We want to get that queued up. I've got a member who's actually working on it right now, or he was this morning. So he didn't join the call. So I don't know where you're at, Lee. But if you want to get some input on that, we're really hot and heavy in getting that lined up and out the door for you guys. So we have a cyber assessment for each one of you. And to set expectations on those, no matter where you're at, the cyber assessments are not a security audit, all right? Those are very specific. Sometimes it's industry, sometimes it's geography, sometimes there's a specific requirement detailed by whoever they're getting their cyber insurance from. Those things are going to have to be done. But kind of before we even start the audit, we need to be communicating with our clients. Where are they at? What does their cyber security posture look like? Are they really vulnerable? Do they have a lot of things in order? Are they getting close? If they're asking you, hey, we're thinking about pursuing this regulatory compliance action, you know, what's that going to look like? You can bring up their cyber assessment and go, you guys have a lot of these things met. I don't think the regulatory compliance for that is going to be too big a leap, right? That's a great conversation to be having with your clients, but we need to be preparing for that. That's all Q3 activities. We need to be looking at those reports, making sure that we're comfortable with the flow, what's going on there. Hit your cyber teams up internally. There always seems to be somebody who, you know, is leading and carrying that cybersecurity banner. Have them fill out some reports. Start the conversations now. It's not going to be one of these instant deals. We call a 15-minute and we sign off on it. Again, we need to get the buy-in. We need to get our teams on board with the plans that we have to do this. And there may be some question and answers going back and forth on that. All right. Chat looks really quiet. All right. So I don't see anything to pull off of there. So hopefully Adam will be back. Hopefully no more drama now. I think we're over the big hurdle there. So you'll have both of us again next week. Thank you guys for joining. I hope your summers are kicking off well. Australian guys on here, they're heading into winter. So they've got a different set of challenges. Look forward to talking to you guys again next week. Always feel free to reach out to us. You can grab us on the chat, book time with me, and look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.